When I read this title, it makes me think of dating. And then when you meet somebody on a first date, everyone's dressed up, fresh haircut, not a 2 drink minimum. It's like a 2 drink maximum. Second date, third date, very similar. And then by like the sixth date, everyone's in sweatpants, eating like chicken wings and your 4 drinks in. Like, it's anyone ever who they really are in that first interview or two, right?
Yeah. Do you feel like this is changing over time? I feel like resumes have for a long time have done this, have had this effect.
I think there is, just thinking about some of the clients we work with at Employment Boost, what Dennis has seen on the executive search side from hearing from clients. There's definitely, you're not always getting what you see, right? Like there's like a bigger gap. I don't know. What do you think, Dennis?
For our customers, we always encourage them. Our approach is we're trying to get some additional information out of them to really market their background as much as possible. And most of the time, it's because they're just not thinking of the way to really highlight their accomplishments. They're not the writers, right? They're just, they're good at their profession, and our goal is to like bring out those specific accomplishments on paper. But there are also those customers that when you poke around a little bit more into the resume, you start finding out that some of the accomplishments that they might be noting that they experience may not be exactly truthful. It's always a bend of reality or a bend of truth. And that's the tricky part of being a interviewer, is making sure that you're poking around multiple times throughout questions to ensure that you're trying to get the real information out of the interview.
But I think everyone embellishes on a resume. People often get caught up that it's supposed to be some poetic, classic literature type of writing. We know that resumes are more marketing and PR, and that's good. It's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to show the most value for yourself. But I think it goes beyond that, where even go back, you tell your buddy, wear a suit to the interview. And you know that the last time he had a suit on was probably like prom, right? That was probably a tuxedo, right? It's been a minute. And like this guy doesn't normally wear a suit, but it's the effort. Are you trying? Are you trying to be professional? And then they talk about being authentic. And you've seen people show up to interviews in flip-flops before, like they're ready for the beach, and like, okay, like you're showing me who you really are, but then the companies are like, I really don't want that person. So we can't, what's a good way to put it, if someone gets, if Matt Damon in the Bourne Identity, he does one and then people say that's all he can ever do is more. What is that called? There's a word for that.
Pigeonholed, something like that.
Pigeonholed, or I think there's like is it typecasting? I'm not sure. There's a word. Maybe it's typecasting. Maybe it's pigeonholed. Whatever it is. And you think like that's all you can never do. I think people have a hard time realizing that you have to be multiple people in life. Like who you are at work is not who you are outside of work. There was guys at my father's steel factory that wore the suits every day, and they were like part of a motorcycle gang on the weekends. I just, we get ourselves into this work environment, and you just have to carry yourself a different way. And I don't think you need to be the same person all day, every day. I think most of your friends don't want to hang out with you if you acted like your work self, correct?
Right. It doesn't necessarily mean that's not you, right? A lot of people are really good at feeling the room, knowing the vibe, being aware of the surroundings, and behaving in the right manner. And I think a lot of times, a lot of our customers might see that, who they interviewed, and, the second they get into an office or a plant floor, whatever the case may be, maybe they don't know how to act appropriately in a work setting versus, how they interviewed. And I just think there are a lot of good candidates out there or employees that just understand their surrounding and are able to kind of pivot when they need to.
I just, I think all three of us like to gamble. I think who we are at the casino is a lot different than who we are around our families, for example.
That's for sure.
I don't know if I want to see Casino Kane on Thanksgiving, for example. Just two different things. I don't. Why do? Go ahead.
Casino Kane could be loyal and truthful at the casino, and he can also still be loyal and truthful in the workplace. But maybe certain personalities don't come. That's the difference between the two surroundings.
I mean, those things carry over, but your behavior is, people at the club's a little bit different than how you are at work.
Right.
And that's okay. I just think that you're allowed to have your work persona. It's like, why do authors have pen names for different styles of books? It's if Stephen King wants to write a different kind of book that's not this thriller fiction, it's almost impossible because they say, if it's a Stephen King book, it must be a bloody, gory book. Maybe he wants to go write a lovely. Maybe he wants to write The Notebook 2 or something. I don't know. And it's just we get in these buckets where we're not allowed to have multiple lifestyles at the same time. Doesn't the Goldman Sachs CEO DJ?
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a DJ, or he makes like EDM music.
That's amazing.
I always screw his name up at Idris Elba, killer actor. He makes electronic music. It's like you're not a old society says you couldn't do that. You had to be this one person.
Why am I not following this guy?
Yeah, I don't know. Follow both of them. I just think there's this person that I am at work. There's this person that I'm at the gym. There's this person that when I'm in the studio, there's this person when I'm with my friends. Hell, I can be two different people with different kinds of friends. I got friends that just want to talk business all day. And then I got friends that want to go out and kill a fifth of whiskey. And I just think, your common core, like you said, it's going to be a truthful, honest, good person. That stuff carries over through all of them, but your overall demeanor and personality, it can shift. It's okay to just be work Dennis or work Kane. I don't think that's not being authentic. That is authentic for the work you.
Yeah. Let me press on that authentic part, because that's a good segue for what I wanted to ask, which is, do you feel like, and I asked this because you've both managed big teams and big companies, do you feel like a lot of the issues that we're seeing in workplaces today come from or are a function of this kind of transition towards authenticity? So if I think back 10 years, 15, 20 years, like you weren't allowed to talk politics in the workplace, for example, or it was taboo. And now I feel like it's a lot, it's that wall is broken down. That's just one example, but this shift towards bringing your whole self to work, I think, has led to unintended consequences. I'm just curious to know what you guys think.
I mean, everyone wants to live their life their own way, so I can't say you should or shouldn't do that. For me personally, I always like to come to work and work. I've always tried to keep an air gap between the two. I don't like dragging my anything personal into whatever job I had. And when you find out most of your coworkers don't want to hear it either. I learned that when I was 18, 19 years old. Also, when I'm at work, I need to be focused on work. Someone's paying me money, and I want to knock this job out so I can keep having success. Doesn't mean everyone has to live that way. It's just, I think you got work. It's okay to compartmentalize. You don't need to have, this like spillage over and all because it gets messy. And you got all these things mixing around. And how many times have you been in happy hour and someone says no shop talk?
Yeah,
often.
Yeah, because you don't want to talk about work at 5:36. And I think at the same point, at 9 o'clock in the morning, people don't want to talk about what they saw in the news right now. It's I got customers, I got reports, I got this stuff I got to get done. And you know what? I want to get out of here at 5 o'clock because I got stuff to do. So I think it's okay to say I'm gonna get work done at work, and then after work, we're gonna, no shop talk, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I feel like there's a part of it that we're also training ourselves to be deceptive always. You think about social media and what people post on a daily basis. It's partly true, right? They're only posting the happy moments of their lives, and they're trying to deceive everyone that having this glorious life and all this money and vacations and when you really dig into it, there's only a select few moments of their lives that they're posting, and it's always the happy parts. And I think part of that, you're starting to train yourself to being deceptive always. If you're doing that outside of work, then all of a sudden maybe that starts trickling into work. Now, again, there's a difference between being deceptive and lying and not being your true self, rather than what we discussed a little bit ago about you can still have those characteristics of being loyal and truthful both in and outside of work.
What do you think?
I think that's a really good point, because deception then in when you're thinking about the workplace or getting a job is a spectrum, and one person's deception is just another person's fake it till you make it kind of thing. And that line in the article here that says nearly everyone uses some form of deception to get a job, I think, well, if I, for example, want to become a CFO, and I don't have every single skill that a CFO needs, but I feel like I could still do that job, then is that deception, or is that just being a little bit smart about kind of what putting things on a resume or being the kind of person that can get that job? I think there's a blurry line, and I think, Dennis, you just hit on that, which is it's a spectrum versus white or black.
No, I think you're doing anything possible you need. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say I'm gonna lie on a resume or do this or that, but you see a job you can do, and look, no one ever checks all the boxes. 20 years of being in this game, I've never seen anyone check every box on a job description, right? So if you go in there with 70% of what the job needs, then you try to get it done. And if we only hired people in this world that could check every box and could absolutely do the job, there'd be no jobs.
Right.
There is always an aspect of I got to learn and figure it out as I go. It doesn't matter what job it is, short of rolling hot dogs at Speedway. But even then, I'm sure that's a learning process.
Yeah,
I always think of a lot of the sales resumes that we see in the JMJ side when someone posts or writes on their resume that they brought in $200+ million in sales, but the revenue of the company is $200+ million in sales. Did you bring in every dollar into the company, or were you a part of the team that brought in all that money?
They're like, oh well, they called in from our website, and we've been around for 60 years, and we're a Fortune 950 company. So you just take the inbound sales call. I got you. I just don't. Where you live in this judgmental world, and you watch the movie like The Social Network, and you got Zuckerberg. I mean, it's TV, but you got Zuckerberg in the hoodie and the FU flip-flops. And we look at that now and we say that's authentic. And if you dress up, that's not authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think there's two. It's, we kind of expect a certain level of professionalism. I mean, Ken, if you went into the bank to get a home loan and the person was in Old Navy sweats, would you feel comfortable, doing a massive home loan with this person.
No. No.
Well, you're different. I'd be like, well, how low is the rate?
Yeah, right.
You
But
know.
enough to pay the suit with an extra point. Yeah.
But we do live in a society where everything's kind of getting dumbed down. We actually don't even want to take care of ourselves as much anymore. And I think the world's getting conditioned to that. Now, I don't think that's very conducive to trying to build a great career, right? So we know the work environment always wants some level of professionalism. It doesn't make you authentic. It's just, if you hire someone, when I was building my house, the guy doesn't show up in a suit. His level of professionalism is showing up in Carhartt stuff.
Mhm.
Like I'm ready to do the job. If the guy showed up in some, athletic wear, I probably wouldn't trust him to do my trim work. It's there's nothing wrong with being who you need to be for the job, and then being someone different outside of that.
That's a really good point, because like the professionalism is contextual. Like if you saw a person in a suit coming to paint your house, I think that you'd say that would be unprofessional too. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's just you look at something and you go, well, this don't make sense. And it's okay to act differently in different situations. I just don't know why it's always been an issue, continues to be an issue. And I think we look for reasons to kind of attack people and say, well, you're not being authentic. It's like, you guys see me. There's days I rolled into work in a suit. There's days I rolled in with a wool sweatshirt or the dress shirt under it, and probably 3 days a week I rolled in a Carhartt hoodie.
Yeah.
None of those make me, authentic or unauthentic. That's who I am.
Yeah.
We're allowed to do that. It's just, what is the environment?
Yeah.
Like I don't. Do you sit at home in a suit and watch Netflix? I mean, I don't know. Kane, maybe you do, but I know Dennis doesn't. Like,
That's for sure.
If I could, I would. Yeah. If I could, I would.
Although Kane might be up to something. Painters in suits, the real professionals.
Right.
Kane's out there selling some knockoff called Stansky.
Haters. Yeah.
I don't know. Be yourself. Just be who you need to be at work. It's my best insight. And I don't know. That's about it. Anything else?
No, I think that was a good conversation. Yeah.
All right. I'll catch you guys.